Hello, and welcome to The Update, where Grants Pass stays informed, engaged, and moving forward together. I'm Aaron Kubik, your city manager. Well, with me today, I have Councilor Indra Nicholas. Councilor, thank you for attending today.
I'm glad you still have me here.
This is always fun. I love being able to have an opportunity to talk with all the council members, and this is our opportunity for you and for us to talk to our listeners about what really occurred at the last council meeting, give them a brief update so they don't have to watch the hour and a half or, well, maybe 3-hour meeting or whatever the size of meetings we have. It's a great opportunity for you to highlight some of the important parts of the meeting and then talk about maybe some future items that might be of interest to our public.
Those meetings can be lengthy, and so I think it's great to summarize some things that we talked about in a good way to get information out to the community. So I'm happy to do it.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Right. So some of the things that we had council action on was Riverside Park. There's a 2026 Southern Oregon Region tree climbing competition. And so we approved that resolution to allow them to have their competition at Riverside Park. And that's coming up very soon on April 10th through 12th. It sounds really fun. So I hope that people get out there and see what's going on.
And one of the things they come to council for is not only to use the park, because staff has the authority to get people in to use the park, but they were specifically requesting some fee waivers because they are more of a commercial activity. So they were going to have some fees associated with that and fees to rent the park. And so they were asking council to waive those for this event, and council did.
And we waived them because we want to see some fun activity in the park, and we want fun events where people can come out and kids and enjoy what's going on. And even for some of these groups, they're nonprofits. They don't have a lot of money, so it helps them to be able to have their events. And I, for one, am happy to help with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that event. I was trying to figure out what I might bring to the park, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I don't want to bring a park chair or something like that. And I'm thinking, no, I might get a kink in my neck looking up. So maybe I'll just bring a blanket and a pillow, and I'll just lay down on the ground and watch them climb the trees.
That's a good idea. Unless you sit far away. If you sit far away, you don't have to look up. I thought it was hilarious, though, when Councilor Reinhart asked about, are they going to cut the limbs down from the trees so they can climb like the logging contest? But it's different from that. They're actually going to climb like arborists. And so they're going to climb through the branches, and they're going to help the city by cutting away some dead branches and making the trees a little bit more healthy. So it's also a learning opportunity to learn about trees and how to keep them healthy and safe. And that should be a good education.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It's something that I'd love to take a look at, but I don't think I have a desire to climb a big, tall tree.
It could be a good fundraising effort if we had you climb a tree for money. The city needs more funds,
right?
right?
I might get about 6 feet up and go, I think I'm done.
I would come for that for sure. Yeah. And then we also gave some funds, grants, I should say. We gave some grants away to some groups.
You're talking about the transient lodging tax grants that we have. So we just so that our listeners understand, we have all sorts of different pots of money that comes in. We have our property taxes, which is a general fund. We have our utility bills that come in for our special enterprise funds. And we have other funds like transient lodging tax dollars that have to go for specific purposes. And council's determined that one of those things is they'd like to have some small grants go to some of our community organizations that want to help promote great activities in our community.
We adopted a resolution awarding lodging tax funds for the spring of 2026 cycle of the Tourism Promotion Grant Program. And that program is for groups to attract visitors and guests from over 50 miles away. So that's the key thing with this grant, is getting people from afar to come to our town to stay in hotels and spend money at restaurants and have fun here.
Yeah.
So that's the purpose of that. We were happy, and I think they were a little surprised to have so many applicants in the spring.
It's getting more and more popular, and And I think we set aside about $35,000, and we gave out, I think, 15,000 the first round. This is the second round, and we only had $20,000 left. But boy, I think it's becoming more and more popular.
We had 12 applicants, and so would really like to thank all the people and organizations that applied. Unfortunately, with $20,000, we can't give money to everyone, and so there was a committee formed to help score and choose the best use of our dollars for these. Here's how it ended up. The Grants Pass Active Club received $5,000. The Grants Pass High School Band Booster received $2,500. The Main Street Grants Pass, which specifically I believe is for Cruise the Rogue.
It's for this new cruise that they've got coming in, I think July 24th weekend.
Okay, so there's big excitement over bringing the cruise back to Grants Pass. How big was that in the past?
You know, I'm so excited about that. Each year I was a judge that sat there and got to judge the cars, and it was huge. It's such a wonderful community event. There's so many people that are just hanging out, listening to music, watching all the cars, and there's hundreds of cars that cruise up and down 6th and 7th Street, and it's so exciting to have that back.
Right, that should be fun. Unfortunately, it's not the same weekend as the Rogue Valley Classic Cruisers. It didn't work out that way, but they received $2,500 as well, and they have their car show every year, which they've been putting on for 30 plus years. So that's going to be happening the prior weekend.
Yes.
We'll have 2 fun events back to back.
Yes.
Okay. And the Rogue Valley Mountain Bike Association received $2,500. We're really putting effort into Dollar Mountain Trails, and the outdoor recreation is really looking to bring in tourists and guests and events for mountain biking. That seems to be a big push.
Yeah, I've heard from some of the mountain bikers and stuff how amazing those trails are. So it is something that we need to promote because people will want to come and ride those trails.
Right.
Yeah.
I have my son-in-law loves to mountain bike, and he and his friends do pick places to go and spend time specifically for mountain biking.
Yeah, and so this is a great opportunity for them to come here and enjoy these awesome trails that we've got, and then also take a look at what all the wonderful things that we have to provide besides mountain biking here in Grants Pass.
Have you biked down the trails?
I have hiked the trails. I have a mountain bike, and it's got some dust on it. I haven't taken it out of my garage for about 3 years, but I was a heavy mountain biker years ago, and I would do Cathedral Hills quite a bit. I went to school at Oregon State, and I did the McDonald Dun Forest all the time up there, so I really enjoyed mountain biking. I just have gotten to a point where I've seen a few people really come away with some pretty bad injuries on some of the trails I like to ride. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to be in an arm brace for 3 months. So I'm trying to figure out where my mountain biking fits in now.
Take a risk, Aaron. Dust off that old bike and get out there.
Yeah, I will have to do that. But I have seen the trails and been on them, and they're amazing.
Okay. And then we gave $2,500 to Southern Oregon Horse Racing Association. Always a big event that brings lots of people in.
Yeah, that is fun to see that that's still continuing because there's not a lot of those type of opportunities in Oregon.
Mm-hmm. So we're happy to give those grant dollars out, and unfortunately we can't give them to everyone, but we hope that more and more people apply.
Yeah. And I want to circle back to the beginning of this because I know that I'm sure that you've gotten questions as a council member, and I get questions sometimes of why are we giving out $20,000 when we could spend this on, say, public safety or something along those lines. And again, this is dedicated funds. We can't spend this money on police and fire and those kind of things. We have to spend it on trying to advertise our wonderful events to individuals and groups that are 50 miles away and more. So it's very specific use of these funds.
Because it's controlled by the state.
That is correct. It is state Oregon revised statutes that dictates how we can utilize these funds.
Right. And that's a tax that's put on hotels when people come stay? Is
yes.
that right?
We have a 12% tax on hotel stays. And so that money comes to the city. And then we have a split that's dictated by state law on how much we can spend in what categories when it comes to travel and tourism.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make Grants Pass the best travel destination in Southern Oregon.
That's right.
We have so much to offer.
We do.
So we need to show it off.
What do you think the public might be interested in that council's going to be addressing in some of our future meetings?
Beacon Hill Park is coming up at our March 30th workshop. So we'll be talking about that. There's a lot of discussion. I think it's been in the works a while.
It has. And maybe for our listeners, can you sort of tell them where and what Beacon Hill Park is? Because technically it's not like a park where you go and recreate right now. And so we have a few acres there that has been dedicated for parks. And we really need parks in that northeast section. We really have a park desert where we've got a lot of great parks throughout the city, but one is needed there. And so that's an important piece for our park infrastructure.
I know growing up, raising kids in the city, Lawn Ridge Park was the park I always took my kids to. So it's so nice to have those neighborhood parks and structures for kids to play on. Also, there's some talk about what can we do with that?
Yes.
Is it going to be a park? Are we going to sell off a couple of residential parcels?
Yep.
How big will the park be? So that's a discussion we'll be talking about.
That pretty much is truly what we'll be talking about at that meeting. And what date is that we're talking about that meeting?
March 30th.
Okay.
Workshop.
Yeah, so we're going to get some more direction from council on sort of, and not in details about what activity specifically, but more just the general use of that property and what it might look like from a park perspective. And I don't want to confuse that discussion with something that has really had a groundswell of or grassroots support that we've been talking about. Some people have been talking about a new type of activity for the city, and I'm sure you probably want to address that.
The pump track.
Yes.
Lots of excitement around the pump track. So that's the talk of where it's going to be. So the council spoke about maybe putting a pump track in Reinhart Volunteer Park.
Yes.
As opposed to a natural playground. That came up and we talked about that. But more people were really interested in the pump track than the natural garden. And then in discussions at the Tourism Advisory Committee and elsewhere, Beacon Hill came up as perhaps a better place for the pump track.
Yeah.
And from the discussions I've heard, it's because the pump track can be bigger at Beacon Hill Park. In Reinhart, we're kind of restricted in how large it can be.
You are restricted in the location that we were talking about for Reinhart Volunteer Park, which is where the fly fishing location is right now, which would be the southwest portion of Reinhart Volunteer Park right on the river. And so you're right, that space would be limited. It'd probably be a smaller pump track, but it could definitely fit there if that's where council wanted it to put it. There could be additional possibilities and opportunities at Beacon Hill also for one of those.
Right. What also came up as an advantage at Beacon Hill is that it's right off I-5. So people driving I-5 would see it. And it was hard for me to believe, but people who bike and use pump tracks were positive that drivers going by would see it and turn around or stop at the next exit and come back and find it because people are very interested in.
Yeah, I've seen those pump tracks in other communities, and they are very heavily used by all sorts of different age groups. I'm seeing 45-year-old dads and moms on their bikes doing the pump tracks to 7-year-old boys and girls. So it's really neat to see families out there on the pump track, and you can go forever because you're really using gravity and you're pumping your bike around. So it's amazing how that works.
I've never seen one.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to go look at one I can find around here. Is there one nearby in Southern Oregon?
I'm not familiar with the ones I've seen have been at the coast and over in Eastern Oregon. So I'm not sure where the closest pump track is from here.
I'll have to find one just to see what it is. But there is a lot of excitement behind it, and it looks like it's something council is interested in doing. It's just now a matter of where Beacon Hill or Reinhart. I know some people have written in and spoken about keeping Reinhart more quiet.
Yep.
So That'll be a good discussion.
One of the things I think is great to highlight about this is just the way an idea becomes a reality. And we're at the birth of an idea becoming a reality. There's different ways it can happen. It could be that staff brings something forward to council and we go through a process, you adopt it, you give the city manager authority to make it happen. It could be through strategic planning. Council's like, yes, I want to have this project, and council's all behind it, and you provide the authority and the budget allocations to make it happen. Or it could be something like this, where really a pump track, I don't think was on council's radar. We all need a pump track. But this was a group of citizens that came forward and said, hey, council, will you please consider this? And it's sort of neat to see that process happening, how an idea will ultimately become reality. And I really think that we'll be moving in that direction, wherever it might be, whenever it might happen. But this is just a good example of how, when you're engaged with your elected officials and with the council in positive ways, great things can happen.
Yes, for sure. I think the question on everyone's mind is timeline. So I think one reason people were advocating for Reinhart Volunteer Park was simply because they thought it would be able to be done faster. So can you speak to that, the timeline? If we choose Beacon Hill, what's that timeline look like versus Reinhart?
You're spot on, Councilor. I think that's probably one of the things that was attractive to the community. Was at Reinhart, we already have a park, and it wouldn't take much for us to do some general work around the fly fishing place and create a pump track. Versus Beacon Hill Park is technically just city property right now that's designated for a future park, but there's no infrastructure at all there. And so really, you're talking about a pump track taking a year to implement in Reinhart Volunteer Park to 3 to 5 years to implement at Beacon Hill Park is the reality. And because if it does go to Beacon Hill Park, and if that's where council would like to see happen there, we still need to allocate resources. We still need to have discussion and have concurrence from council on what that might look like. We're a number of years out, and I'd say probably 3 to 5 years before that park gets somewhere. And that's with council giving the green light on, yes, we're developing Beacon Park, and this is a focal point that we want to do.
Wow. I say let's do it in a year.
Well,
we're going to push you on that.
You know what? Anything's possible if you have enough resources and you have the ability, you have the green light and the focus to do it. Things can be faster, but I don't want to set up unrealistic expectations. So you're pretty safe by saying three plus to make it happen.
You're pushing out, so when it gets done faster, you can be the hero.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Hey, on a little more sensitive note,
Yes.
on the April 13th workshop, when we're talking about the pump track at Reinhart, we also have council decorum protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to touch on that. We've had a rocky road at some meetings. We've been in a little over a year, but I think it's settling in, and everyone's getting used to working with each other and looking forward to working better together for the benefit of the community. So what is this decorum protocol about?
Yeah, I have to concur with you on that, Counselor. I think council and the teamwork that's occurring now and what we're exhibiting as leaders within the community is really clear. The council has a unified approach to trying to get some great things done for this community. So the council protocol and decorum things are, I think we're going to address some of the items of some council members have questioned the 2 minutes versus the 3 minutes public meeting and the public comment period. We've also talked about having a group of core values identified and which would then identify some group norms on how we treat each other, how we treat the community, how we address issues that come in front of us. Just something that's just highlighted and outlined and that we all sort of sign off on. And all of that is basically just good tips on how to be a highly effective team.
Right. Because even in disagreements, we can be professional and courteous to one another. And
Yep.
I know it's hard because we get passionate about
Oh,
the
yeah.
things we care about, right? And so I take things too personally. So I'm learning to not take things so personally and let it go. So it's a learning curve, and I'm happy. Seems like we're on an uphill climb with that.
Yeah, and we greatly appreciate your passion because it just shows how much you care. So thank you.
And yes, everyone, all the counselors
Yeah.
care. And so we just have to learn to just work together a little bit better, be kinder to one another, probably. But it's looking good. It's
Yeah,
looking
and
up.
so we'll just formalize some of those things after that discussion and after council has an idea on how and what they'd like to see.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then some other fun things coming up is
fun. Oh, were we talking more pump tracks or something?
the
That's
budget.
fun. What? Okay, you're right. It is fun. If you ask JC, it's fun. If you ask me, it's sort of fun too. But okay, you're
For
talking
people
numbers.
who love numbers, the budget is fun, but it's how we craft what we do.
It's so important.
Really
One of the
important.
most important things council does is adopt a budget that allocates resources and sets limits on spending and has those policies. It's truly a roadmap on what we're going to do and how we're going to get there.
Right. So depending on what we give money to is what our priorities are.
That's right.
And so we have all 8 counselors are on the budget
Yes.
committee, and who else is on there?
We have 8 members at large, which are citizens of Grants Pass. So we have the budget committee consists of 16 people.
Quite large.
Yeah, it is.
But it's great to have community members as part of the budget to have voices
Yep. And
outside of the counselors on there.
yeah, and council's already had a group meeting as serving as the budget committee. So I remember we had that where we went over sort of like in general, just some budget guidelines and what the budget might be looking like. And then as you mentioned in April, we'll actually have the budget document for the budget committee. Once we hand out that budget to the budget committee on, I think it's April 28th, it will be open and available to the public and will be online also.
Okay, so you and your staff are busy working
We
on the
are.
budget.
Because council just provided us with additional budget policy parameters on Monday's workshop. So we're taking those things and we're implementing them into the budget and we're crunching the numbers and we're really trying to make good faith estimates on revenues and expenditures. Because there's some things that we have to guess on. There's some things that we really know well. And so we're just trying to put all that together so we can provide a responsible, balanced budget to you.
Right. And I think it's great that you bring that to council and get our opinion on it before you just put in what you want. You know, the direction that we want you to go in.
Oh, that is so important. Well, it's good to do it right the first time. And so if we get that direction, then we usually do a pretty good job at hitting your target.
Yes. You don't want us to be mad at
No.
you when we see a surprise. Okay. And those dates are April 28th and April 30th.
Yes, and then we have our concluding meetings on May 5th. And then ultimately, those are the 3 meetings that are primarily where the budget committee come together as 16, your 16 people. And then they approve the budget at some point. And hopefully they'll approve it on the May 5th meeting. And then in June, council adopts the budget. It's usually the first meeting in case we need to do something and reschedule something. We have the second meeting in June to cover that because the budget has to be adopted by law. The balanced budget needs to be adopted by law by June 30th.
Okay. Today, I'd like to talk about something very special that I had the opportunity to attend.
Well, please share.
And that was the drug court graduation ceremony.
Yes.
It was at Ann Basker through Josephine County. But the city also, as I learned, has a part in helping with that.
Yes, we do. It is like you mentioned, it is sort of a partnership, and it's been very successful. And I think we were one of the first ones in the state to have that kind of program.
Well, it's paying off because I know nothing about it, and I had an invitation and I went, and how inspiring. It is amazing the lives that are being changed through this program. And I just strongly support it. I was so inspired by the courage of the graduates and what they've been through and how vulnerable they are. They got up, each one got a plaque and got to speak about their journey.
Wow.
Some journeys way longer than others, but it was an honor to be there. And then also all of the counselors and the POs and the people that help with this program. Judge Galley seems to be instrumental in it.
Uh-huh.
What great people giving their time and effort and going above and beyond their duties to help people. I was truly inspired.
That's a wonder. I'm so glad that you highlighted that, because that really is a program that makes a huge difference in people's lives. And it's just one of multiple examples of some wonderful things that represent some great people doing good for our community.
Right. And it just reminded me of how we, at one of our last meetings, talked about how we're going to be coordinating with the county more and working with the county. And we have meetings, I believe, set up between yourself and the mayor and council president.
Yes, that is correct. We haven't had that for a while. And so I'm excited to bring that back, where we meet with the Board of Commissioners once a month. And we'll have an opportunity to share interests and talk about maybe projects that we could work on together. And it just is a great opportunity to build camaraderie and to show that we are all here for one good cause.
Absolutely. And with the city dealing with the homelessness issue, which a lot are drug addicted, and the drug court program, and what a perfect match. And I look forward to learning more about that and how the city can even get more involved in helping. And so I think coming together is going to be really important and valuable for our community.
Most definitely. I can see some great things ahead of us. It's great, the momentum that's forming, and there's so many wonderful people that'll help make that happen. Councilor Nicholas, I want to thank you for your time today and sharing your story, especially with the drug court and the activities that are happening at a council level. Greatly appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure to be here.
You can find this episode and future ones on the city's website and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We plan to release new episodes twice a month following council meetings. I'm Aaron Kubik. Thank you for being part of the Grants Pass community and listening to The Update, where Grants Pass stays informed, engaged, and moving forward together.